Every day is a new beginning. Shine your light. It's a day and the world is waiting. Move along to the song, singing in your soul. Feel the beat, clap your hands, let's take control. All you need, all you want, are you ready to find your way? 'Cause every day is a new day.
Welcome to Wisconsin Family. I'm Janet Crescent.
And I'm Justin Riley, and we are here today at an old business, but a new location. This is the Monona Academy of Dance and Dance Wisconsin. They moved just a mile down the road from their old location on Monona Drive to South Stoughton Road. And what a great location this is. We've been hearing from Joe Jean for several months now about how the remodel is going. It's not a remodel, how the move is going, how the new space is coming, and we're just really excited. I'm tickled pink to be here.
I feel like we're actually pretty lucky to have Joe Jean. She's an icon in our dance community in this area and has had a national influence for decades.
She is. There's so many people that are out in New York City dancing professionally who are students, former students of Joe Jean. So it really is an honor to have her on our show, and she's going to talk a little bit about how things are going here at Monona Academy of Dance and some things that are coming up this fall, and then of course Nutcracker. We're going to talk a little bit about the Nutcracker.
Absolutely.
So that'll be fun.
We're also going to the Doghouse. We'll be talking with Doghouse University. The owner, Nate Mathis Vargas, is joining us. We're going to ask him a few questions like, what do you bring on your first day of doggy care?
That's a good question. And it's also worth noting that it's important to make sure that your dog is well trained prior to going to doggy daycare. And so for that reason, it's not a bad idea for everybody to brush up on some doggy training classes.
And also, which leash to use? There's a lot out there.
Lots of questions, lots of good questions. Chris from Natura Clean is going to join us. She's going to talk to us a little bit about how cleaning your house is really kind of like maintaining your car. Nobody would want to just say never maintain your car, because obviously you'll end up by paying more in the long run to have repairs made and so forth. So taking care of your house is just as important, because it can cause damage for you to not clean your house on a regular basis.
And she really knows her stuff. She's been focused on energy and efficient ways, eco-friendly ways to clean your home for years.
Yep, that's coming up after the break, so stick around on Wisconsin Family.
Welcome back to Wisconsin Family. We've been at the Monona Academy of Dance and Dance Wisconsin. Their new digs, their new studios, just a little jump off the Beltline here on Stoughton Road. Later on, we'll take a look and see how their new place is shaping up. Right now, though, we're talking keeping clean. It's always easier to maintain than to do an overhaul, and Chris Koenig knows that so well. She's with Natura Clean. Actually, you own Natura Clean. Thanks for joining us today, Chris.
Thank you.
So earlier, you were saying that keeping your home clean is similar to maintenance on a car. How so?
It is. You know how people expect that if they don't maintain their cars, they're going to end up with a bigger bill later when they do take it in. It's the same with homes. If you're not maintaining it, when it comes to that first cleaning, it's going to be a much bigger bill than you expect, because you have to go in and get rid of buildup and just get it clean, and it takes more time. And usually what's happening is that we're getting rid of hard water, things that you can't see, and things that you can see. But hard water, grease buildup, it's not just a surface clean. We're getting in there and getting it really clean.
To get that shine back.
Exactly, and to a point where it can be maintained going forward. So it's not as hard to clean it going forward.
Yeah.
And so you usually tell people right off the bat that, hey, first time we come over, it's going to be just a little bit, it'll take a little bit longer for sure, because you're working on all of those things.
Yeah, and it's actually more than a little bit longer. It's actually 2 to 3 times longer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, than what a regular cleaning would be.
Wow.
So usually on the usually 2 times longer, but it can be up to 3 times longer depending on how well someone has been maintaining their home.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow. So if you think you're maintaining your home well, they'll be the litmus test for you.
Exactly, yeah.
So I want to know, do homes get damaged by not properly keeping up with cleaning and maintenance and whatnot?
They do. So let's say you spill grape jelly on your white baseboards. If you clean it up right away, everything's fine, but you let that sit there for like a few weeks, a few months, a year, it's going to stain. That grape color is going to stain. Same with grease around the handles on cupboards in the kitchen. I think I've talked about this before, where grease becomes one with the varnish and the paint.
Wow.
And the only way to get rid of that is to refinish the
Really?
The cabinets. Yeah. So you've got to maintain that. You've got to get that off right away. Another one is even water. When you've got a stainless steel refrigerator with a water dispenser on the outside, that water will etch in. When people see the drips underneath, it's etched in, and that's permanent. So
wow.
Things get damaged.
I've noticed that because we just got a new stove and it's stainless steel, and I have to constantly be wiping the exterior of it, or else, just people dry their hands because we can't hang our towels there.
Exactly.
People dry their hands, and so is that a good enough thing to do to just kind of keep up with it? A good
I mean, as long as if you're spilling something right away, just wipe it off and get it off right away, because otherwise it does etch in, and then you're just going to have this stainless steel with dark spots all over it.
Right. Yeah.
Wow. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of elbow grease. It sounds like. Yes. So it sounds like maybe a lot of people don't realize this is happening, or
right, they don't, and it's because it's really gradual. When you're living in your home, you spill something, you get something on the backsplash, and you think, oh, I'll clean that up later, and later, it keeps happening later, and you just stop seeing it because it's part of your home now, and you're just so used to seeing it every day that things that we come in and see, we're seeing because we don't live there. But when you're living in your home, you don't see the dog fur building up in the cracks of the stair, the corners of the stairs, or grease spills on backsplashes, or whatever it is.
Yes.
You get used to it.
Yeah, I suppose it becomes part of the landscape, essentially.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about perception versus reality. I mean, can there be a difference there in what people perceive and what's really there?
Yes, definitely, because we have a lot of people call and they say, oh, I keep up with my kitchen, that won't take very long, and usually that takes, when I hear that, I know it's going to take longer than than usual, because what they're saying is they're really good at cleaning off the countertops and wiping out the sink, which is great, but there's a lot more going on in the kitchen than that, like grease building up on the behind the stove, and if you have a microwave above the stove, building up all over that thing and on top of it, and the cabinets around it, and so there's a lot of things that you don't see. Grease buildup is hard to see. Hard water can be hard to see. So perception is definitely different than reality for a lot of people.
And all those things can cause long-term damage if left unchecked. I'm absolutely floored by the idea that if you let the grease build up too long on your cabinets, the only option is to refinish. You just can't get that off.
It's true. And there's another one that I forgot to talk about is glass showers. The hard water building up. Eventually you can get the hard water off, when it's built up that much, but eventually if you wait too long, it's become it's also etched into the glass. So it looks like you have hard water, but you don't anymore because you've taken it off, but it's stained.
I should keep squeegeeing my shower, it sounds like.
Yeah, squeegeeing is a great thing. Yeah.
The devil's in the details. Right. So it takes a really keen eye and some knowledge to know to look for these things, and then, of course, deal with them. So you've got the eye. Are you looking for more folks?
We are growing, and we're heading into fall, which is a really busy time. People are, their kids are going back to school, they're back spending more time in their home and realizing that they need some help. And so we're hiring, we've got great teams, we've got a great company, and we'd love to have more people join us.
Awesome. I actually saw on your website that you have gifts. Maybe we could talk about that another time. Look at their gift tab and get a gift of cleaning for someone too, like a newlywed couple or something.
That's a great gift.
Thank you.
Alrighty, thank you, Chris. Chris Koenig is the owner of Natura Clean. They serve Middleton, Madison, Monona, Fitchburg, Verona, Cross Plains, Black Earth, Waunakee, and probably more. They also have great tips on their website. We're at Monona Academy of Dance, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to Wisconsin Family. Janet and I have been filming here at the Monona Academy of Dance and Dance Wisconsin in their new location over on South Stoughton Road, and we're going to check in with Joe Jean later on in the program and just kind of check in and see how the transition is going. So we're excited to be here. But from dancing to dogs, we are now joined by Nate Mathis Vargas from Doghouse University. How are you, Nate?
Good, how are you?
Very good, very good. So people are going back to school now. They're kind of getting back into a more structured routine. Things aren't as open and fluid as they are usually during the summer. So obviously people are kind of taking into consideration what should we do with the dog.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about training classes, because before going back to doggy daycare, it's a good idea for people to put their dogs in training classes.
Absolutely, it's a good bonding experience for the dog and the owner because they learn to take direction from you. I mean, even if you've already been to training classes before with a dog you've had in the past, or you've done training classes with the same dog, it's just good bonding for both of you. And whether it's either you doing it online and treating them, or you're taking a class in a group setting, I mean, all those things are beneficial for you and your dog. So I highly recommend training classes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can say we own 2 dogs at home, and it's not often that we can have a full hour where it's just me and the dog, or my wife and the dog, just totally interacting with each other, undistracted.
Yeah.
So the point of that being a good bonding experience is a very good point.
Exactly, and then you learn things in the class. I mean, because a lot of the point of training classes isn't really training the dog; it's training the people how to train the dog.
Sure.
Because the instructor is talking to you about how to do these motions, and the dog is just following your directions. So. Doing it consistently at home after you take the classes, really helps. But that hour that you get to spend just focus on that one thing, and then they can see you giving them directions and the treats they get, obviously, it helps bond both of you, and they do well with that in any situation.
Can we talk about leashes?
Yes.
So, retractable versus standard. I'm a fan of the standard myself. I'm curious what you think.
Well, I am a fan of the standard as well. I mean, you have a lot more control, but I don't want to shame anybody who uses those other ones because people feel strongly about this topic. But you have a lot more control with the standard leash, especially if you're walking. You're going to keep the dog closer to you. They're not going to keep going yo-yo out and back and forth. The other thing with those retractable leashes is if it does start to go out and say it slips out of your hand and it drops to the ground, your dog's going to be chased by something, which is going to make them try to run away from you faster because this thing is bouncing behind them that they're not sure why it's there if they were spooked by something in the first place. Also, if it comes undone and you're walking and you wrap somebody up or they get around a tree and you have to keep, it's just, those are good for taking them out in the backyard if you live in an apartment so they can walk around and you're a fixed spot. But walking them down the street, those are not usually recommended. But
I have heard that you risk human and dog injuries when those can get wrapped around.
Yeah.
Also, I would think that you're teaching your dog to pull.
Yes,
because
exactly.
they're used to pulling and going where they want. So on a regular leash or standard leash, they'd probably not be a very polite walker.
Yes, exactly. I mean, the 4-foot or a 6-foot lead is much more because your dog's going to be, being close to you is going to be a much more natural thing for them to follow you also. And with the retractable leashes, they will go out and come back and go out, and it just teaches them that they can kind of just do what they want to. And
pulling works.
Pulling works, and especially because those things make that sound when they click, then it can make them pull even further than they would naturally, because that noise will get them like, what? What was that? So
Interesting. I always just find it, because I'm a fan of the standard leashes too, I would just think that you'd want to have the leash wrapped around your hand a few times. I don't feel comfortable unless I have the leash wrapped around my hand a couple times, and you can't do that with
exactly.
the
I mean, they seem convenient, but I mean, so they have poop bags and stuff in them and all that good jazz. But I mean, you're much more controlled, and it's a lot more, safe with a standard leash. They're just much better.
Right. Let's talk a little bit about, let's go back to Doghouse University
okay.
a little bit. Let's talk about appointments. If somebody wants to bring their dog in, do they have to do it on a recurring basis, or can you do one-time onlys or anything like that?
We don't require people to do every week or a set schedule, but we recommend it, especially in the fall, because we do get filled up and people aren't going out as much as they do. But we try to be there for people's convenience. That's what we're there for. We're a convenience type business, so we want to fit your schedule, whatever works. If you want to, 1 week do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the next week do Tuesday, Thursday, or come 1 day a week, or whatever the schedule might be, we try to accommodate any of those type of things. But we do set up appointments if people want to for a year out.
Oh wow, okay, for up to a year.
Yep, up to a year.
Great.
So Doghouse University is a doggy daycare. You have 2 locations, and can you give a shout out to the locations and then what people should expect for their first day?
Okay, we have a location on Johnson Street at 825. It's between Livingston and Patterson Street, about 6 blocks north of the Capitol, and our other location is on Park Street between St. Mary's and Meritor Hospital. The first day, you should bring along your vaccine records, anything. We have a profile for them to fill out. We'll go over that in the morning with them. If you want your dog to have a lunch, you can bring that with you, and they're obviously you have to bring them on a leash, and preferably a standard leash.
Preferably a standard leash. Good to know. Very good to know. Well, Nate Mathis Vargas from Doghouse University, thank you so much for joining us today. We always learn something from you, which is what we're here for.
Yeah.
Don't go away. There's more Wisconsin Family coming up right after the break here at Monona Academy of Dance and Dance Wisconsin. Stick around.
'Cause every day is a new day. 'Cause every day is a new day.
And welcome back to Wisconsin Family. This is our final segment. Now we have a familiar face, but a new space for you today in our program. With us is Jo Jean Rettram, and she's the owner of Monona Academy of Dance and Dance Wisconsin. That's where we're filming today, and they have a new location, new studios, and we're so glad to finally get to see them. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for having us here, and welcome.
I'm very excited to have you here in my new space.
Now, this seems very, very climactic for us to be
Yeah,
here, because
yes.
we've been hearing about this for months and months and months now, and we finally get to see it.
Yes.
And boy, does it deliver. It's a really, really nice space that you have.
Thank
So
you.
congratulations
Thank
on
you.
that.
So let's recap. The business itself is 70 years old.
Yep, 70 years old this year.
You were at, oh, happy anniversary. You were at your old location for 35 years, and we're 1 mile away at
Yep.
a new location now. Okay, so tell us how things are going. What studio are we in right now?
This is Studio D.
D.
D, yeah. So we have A, B, C. C's not done yet, and then D is our largest studio. So this is where we'll hold all our rehearsals, and when we do Nutcracker, we'll hold all our rehearsals here. Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to ask, when I walked by your front door, it looked like there were some flowers, a little flower garden. Was that a tribute to your mom,
Yes.
who
Yes.
started the business 70
Yes.
years ago?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that was very nice. I enjoyed
Yeah.
seeing that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So fall registration, we're going to talk about classes here. Fall registration is happening. Let's talk a little bit about why dance is so good for young kids.
Well, to me, it really helps children to focus and makes them aware of their body, you know, and of themselves. And especially, you know, like not everyone learns the same way. You know, a lot of people, you know, they're smart in the brain, but they're not so much smart streetwise. And so you have to really approach learning different ways. And so many of my dancers are just so smart, and not just smart in school, but, you know, smart taking care of themselves. And, you know, like my daughter moved to LA and she was 18 years old and she thought nothing of it. It was just like, yeah, I'm fine. You know, so,
I also think about starting and getting the little ones on stage so young, how today a lot of people are hiding behind their devices. They're communicating
Yes.
through their devices and yet don't feel comfortable. So imagine not feeling comfortable in interpersonal space versus being on stage.
Right.
So I imagine that would be a really neat thing that they might get
yeah,
from
it
it
builds
too.
a lot of self-confidence. You know, when a parent comes in, oh, my child is so shy, I say, well, we can take care of that.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's such a strong mind-body connection, you know, and I think it's like you said, it helps to build confidence for sure, but I think it's just so important to have that because, you know, we are becoming more disconnected, unfortunately.
Right.
in
From our own
society.
selves.
Yeah,
Right,
absolutely.
right.
Yep.
And it's so much fun performing, you know, and so when you see, you know, a child get up there and have a good time and smiling and
Wearing fun clothes or
Yes,
costumes.
yes,
Sure.
yes.
So we've talked a lot about the little ones and even the ones that you train that go on into professional companies, but you have adult classes?
Yes, yeah, I'm really starting to, you know, promote more adult classes because I feel like adults, they don't take care of themselves.
Right.
You know, I got to get my child to class. Well, but you can't take care of your child if you're not taking care of yourself.
Right.
So, you know, I have teachers that can teach yoga and Pilates. This summer we had adult ballet classes and tap classes, and I'm going to promote more ballroom classes so partners can come out and dance together. It's just so much fun, you know, and you have to have that in your lives.
In the adult classes, I'm curious, are these people that did ballet when they were younger and they're like, hey, I want to dabble again? Or is it people that like, I've always wanted to try
Good
that?
question.
Both. Both
It's
of them.
both.
Yes, yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
One of the things that's so fascinating to me about ballet is that it really is the foundation of all of modern dance. I mean, hip hop comes from ballet.
Yes.
But I want to talk specifically about what is progressing ballet technique.
So progressing ballet technique is a new form of exercising to strengthen the body safely.
Okay.
Both for children, young children can do it, and adults. So it strengthens your core, it works a lot of your joints and your muscles around your joints, and you work it with small balls, big balls, and one of my other teachers and myself, we got certified in teaching that. So we really want to, share this with people. I think we're the only people in the state that are teaching this, and the founder of this technique is from Australia.
Okay.
Did you just stand up a little taller?
I maybe a little bit. So is this an exercise routine or an exercise program?
Yes, exercise program.
With its roots in ballet?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So you would be using it in a class in and of itself, it sounds
Correct.
like. I
Correct.
see. And it's meant to enhance
Right.
whatever, I guess, line of dance you're...
Right.
It sounds like something like that would be great for somebody who, wants to get good exercise, wants to do the core strengthening, things like that, but maybe doesn't necessarily want to be up on stage performing or,
Right,
rehearsing.
but even people, like if you have back problems and you don't want to do all that boot camp and all that other stuff, this is a safe way to strengthen your body instead of doing, all that weightlifting and everything. You're using your own body. And
Take off the boots, put on your ballet shoes.
Well, speaking of performing, the Nutcracker auditions are coming up.
Yes.
Wow.
Now, and we should also give a shout out to your mom when we talk about the Nutcracker, because that was a big thing for her. She kept that going, and wasn't she in charge of costumes?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. She did beautiful costumes, but now one of my teachers is sort of taking over, and anytime she gets sort of stuck making something, she'll look up and go, Jean, what should I do next? So she makes beautiful tutus and everything. So yeah, we're going into our 41st year of Nutcracker.
Amazing.
It's very exciting.
So auditions.
They're September 10th, and we
Ooh.
take children 7 years of age and up. So we'll be holding our auditions then. And then we're also working right now on our fall show, which is October 7th at the Mitby Theater. And our theme is portraits of women and empowerment of women. So all my choreographers are women and putting pieces together. And we're also doing Aurora's Wedding, which is the third act of Sleeping Beauty.
Sure.
So we have our classical along with contemporary works. Yeah.
How does that second one work, the portrait of women? What would that look like?
Well, they're different contemporary pieces. So
Oh, written by, choreographed
well,
by?
choreographed by different choreographers.
I see, okay.
That's very cool. And how can people get tickets to this event?
They can call the studio here for tickets because we'll be selling them here, and they can get them the night of the performance at the Mitby Theater.
At the Mitby Theater. Well, very cool. Sounds like there's always something for everybody at your shows. You get
Yes.
a little bit of the contemporary, a
Yeah.
little bit of the classical, and different varieties. You do
Yeah.
like the miniatures, the ballet miniatures.
Right,
So
right.
that's
And
fantastic.
I want people to enjoy coming to see a performance.
Right.
So
Right. Get them
I try-
hooked.
Yes.
Yep. There you go. Well, we always enjoy having you on, and we've especially enjoyed coming here today, and we look forward to checking in with you maybe a couple months from now. So
Thank you.
thanks for having us.
Thank you very much for having me.
And we have been Wisconsin Family here at the Monona Academy of Dance and Dance Wisconsin. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.